Evans grew up in a normal household where his parents worked a lot, but still managed to take care of him and his three older sisters. They weren't a particularly close-knit family, but they never had any major problems either. His extended family lived a few hours away, and they would see each other during summer holidays or Christmas, always getting along great. As they got older, they naturally grew apart, each with their own life. Evans is now 31 years old. When he was 22, he was in university, trying to navigate his way through adulthood. One day, he received a phone call from his mother that would change his life forever. He didn't answer it at first, too engrossed in a gaming session with his friends. But she called again right away. In his family, if someone called twice like that, it meant something was very important, like someone had died. "Hey, Mom, what's going on?" Evans asked, excusing himself from his friends. "Evans, we need to talk," his mother replied, her voice shaking. "It's about your cousin. She's been telling us some things, and we need to know if they're true." Evans was taken aback. "What are you talking about, Mom? I haven't seen my cousin in years. She says that when she was 9 and you were 16, you touched her inappropriately and kissed her," his mother accused, her voice rising. Evans was stunned. "That's not true, Mom. I don't know what she's talking about." But his mother just kept pushing. "Evans, we need to know the truth. Did you do it? Did you hurt your cousin?" Evans felt a wave of panic wash over him. "No, Mom, I didn't do anything. I swear. This is all just a big misunderstanding." But his mother wasn't convinced. "Evans, we're putting you on speakerphone. Your father and I both want to talk to you about this." Evans heard the sound of the phone being put on speaker, and then his father's voice came on the line. "Evans, son, we're very disappointed in you. We don't know what to say." "Disappointed in me?" Evans repeated, feeling a surge of anger. "You're the ones who are supposed to believe me, not accuse me of something I didn't do." But his parents just kept lecturing him, telling him that they didn't want anything to do with him and that he should never contact them again. Evans was devastated. He had never felt so alone and betrayed in his life. As the conversation came to a close, Evans felt like his world was crashing down around him. "So, you're just going to believe my cousin's lies and disown me?" he asked, his voice shaking with emotion. "We're sorry, Evans," his mother replied, her voice cold. "But we have to protect your cousin. She's the victim here, not you." Evans felt a wave of anger and hurt wash over him. "You're not even giving me a chance to defend myself," he said, his voice rising. "You're just assuming I'm guilty and throwing me away like trash." But his parents just hung up the phone, leaving Evans feeling shattered and alone. He didn't know how to process what had just happened, or how to move on from the pain and betrayal he felt. All he knew was that his life would never be the same again. Evans was shocked and upset after the call with his mom. He felt like his whole world had been turned upside down. Two of his sisters texted him later that day, saying he was disgusting, and then blocked him. He didn't know why, but he took a long shower after the call, trying to wash away the pain and confusion. As he stood under the warm water, he couldn't help but think about what had just happened. "Why didn't they believe me?" he asked himself, feeling a lump form in his throat. "Why did they turn on me like that?" After calming down, he tried to call and text his family members, but no one answered. Those who hadn't blocked his number, yet quickly did so. He felt like he was being erased from their lives, and it was a devastating feeling. The only person who responded was his father, who texted him to stop contacting them and said they needed time to heal. Evans was taken aback by the message. "Time to heal," he thought. "What about me? Don't I deserve time to heal too?" That was 9 years ago, and Evans hasn't spoken to anyone in his family since then. This experience had a huge impact on him. He was in a daze for weeks and hardly ate anything. He was already stressed because he was about to defend his bachelor's thesis, and this made things worse. "I don't know how I'm going to get through this," Evans said to his co-writer, feeling overwhelmed. "I'm not even sure if I care about the thesis anymore." But his co-writer was supportive and helped him during the thesis defense. Evans was able to get through it, but it was a hollow victory. No one from his family came to his graduation, and it felt like a huge slap in the face. As the months went by, Evans struggled to cope with the pain and rejection. He was always waiting for the police to come and arrest him for something he didn't do. He didn't get any jobs and lived off his savings. He drank a lot and did some drugs, and he became resentful and violent. One time, his neighbor called the police on him after he smashed a glass, but he was able to convince the officers that it was an accident, and they left. Instead of sleeping, he spent his nights thinking about how he could hurt himself and make sure no one would find out. I'm so tired of feeling like this, Evans said to himself, feeling like he was at rock bottom. I just want to be happy again. I want to feel like I'm worth something. But even in the darkest moments, Evans never gave up. He slowly started to rebuild his life, and things started to get better in late 2015 when he got his first real job in his field. He focused all his time on his job, and it gave him something normal to do. I'm finally doing something I love, Evans said to his coworker, feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment. I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. As he settled into his new routine, Evans slowly recovered, drank less, and smiled more. He lived cheaply and earned good money, so he bought himself nice gifts for his birthdays like a VR headset, a motorcycle, and Lego sets. Last year, he moved from his old apartment and bought a small house, which was an old dream of his. He has a garage and a garden to take care of, and this has made him feel even better. I'm finally home, Evans said to himself, feeling a sense of peace and contentment. I'm finally where I'm meant to be. But despite the progress he's made, Evans still has problems. He's been taking antidepressants for a few years, and while they help, they don't make him happy. They just remove the dark thoughts and replace them with empty ones. I'm still not happy, Evans said to his therapist, feeling frustrated. I'm still not the person I used to be. I don't know if I ever will be again. But his therapist was supportive and encouraged him to keep moving forward. You are making progress, Evans, she said. You are getting better. It's just going to take time. Evans sat on his couch, staring at his phone in shock. He had just received a text from his mom, out of the blue. It had been years since they last spoke, and he had thought he was done with his family for good. Hey, Evans, it's Mom, the text read. We miss you and want to know how you're doing. Your sisters are all grown up now, and they have kids of their own. We'd love to catch up and hear about your life. Evans felt a mix of emotions as he read the text. Part of him was angry and hurt, remembering all the pain his family had put him through. But another part of him was curious, wondering what his sisters were like now and what their kids were like. He decided to respond, but he didn't know what to say. He didn't want to open up to his mom and get hurt again, but at the same time, he didn't want to ignore her either. Hey Mom, he typed. I'm doing okay, I guess. I've been busy with work and my own stuff. What's going on with you and the rest of the family? His mom responded quickly, telling him all about his sisters and their kids. Evans listened, feeling a pang of sadness and regret. He had missed out on so much, and he didn't know if he could ever get it back. But then his mom dropped a bombshell. Evans, we know what happened in the past was wrong, she said. We're angry at your cousin for lying, and we want you to forgive us and meet your sisters' families. We want to move forward and put the past behind us. Evans was taken aback. He didn't know what to say or do. Part of him wanted to yell at his family and make them feel guilty for what they put him through. He even thought about making his cousin's life miserable. Why should I forgive you? Evans typed, feeling angry and hurt. You didn't believe me when I needed you most. You turned your backs on me and left me to suffer. Why should I just forget about all that and move on? His mom responded, apologizing and explaining that they had been wrong to doubt him. But he wasn't sure if he could ever trust them again. I don't know, Mom, he said. I need time to think about it. I'm not sure if I'm ready to forgive and forget. As he sat on his couch, staring at his phone, Evans felt torn. Part of him wanted to move on and leave the past behind, but another part of him wanted to hold on to his anger and hurt. What do I do? Evans asked himself, feeling confused and unsure. Do I forgive them and try to move on, or do I hold on to my anger and hurt? I don't know what's right or wrong anymore. Just then, his phone buzzed again. It was his mom, responding to his last message. Evans, we understand if you're not ready to forgive us yet, she said. But we want you to know that we love you, and we're sorry for what happened. We hope you can find it in your heart to forgive us and move on. We want to be a part of your life again. He felt a lump form in his throat as he read the message. He didn't know what to say or do, but he knew he needed time to think about it. Thanks, Mom, he typed, feeling a mix of emotions. I'll think about it. I need some time to process everything. As he sat on his couch, staring at his phone, Evans felt like he was at a crossroads. He could forgive his family and try to move on, or he could hold on to his anger and hurt. He didn't know what the future held, but he knew he needed to make a decision soon. Evans felt like he was stuck in a rut, with no one to turn to for support. He had called his therapist's clinic, but she was on vacation and wouldn't be available for weeks. He didn't want to talk to anyone else, so he was left with no choice but to reach out to internet strangers. I'm so torn, Evans wrote in an online forum. My family reached out to me after all these years, and I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to ignore them and move on with my life. But another part of me wants to respond and confront them about the past. A stranger responded to his post, offering words of encouragement. It's understandable that you're feeling torn, they wrote. But maybe this is an opportunity for closure and healing. Have you considered responding to their messages and seeing where it takes you? Evans thought about this for a moment. He had always dreamed of the day when his family would apologize and make amends, but now that it seemed like a possibility, he wasn't sure if it was worth it. I don't know, Evans wrote back. I've imagined a grand, dramatic scene where they would beg for my forgiveness, but the reality of a simple text message seems anticlimactic. I'm not sure if it's worth opening up old wounds again. Just then, Evans received a message from his cousin, the one who had falsely accused him. She sent a long text, apologizing for her actions and explaining that she had been dealing with mental health issues. Evans, I'm so sorry for what I did, she wrote. I was struggling with my own demons, and I didn't know how to deal with them. I know that's no excuse for what I did, but I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. Evans felt a surge of anger and hurt, and he couldn't help but respond. You're sorry, he wrote. You're sorry after all these years? You destroyed my life, and now you're just sorry? It's not enough. But as he sat down to write his response, he took a deep breath and tried to calm down. He wrote a message that still expressed his pain and anger, but in a more measured tone. I appreciate your apology, Evans wrote. But I need you to understand that your actions had real consequences. I was torn away from my family and left to deal with the trauma and pain on my own. I'm still trying to heal and move on, and your excuses and half-hearted apology are not enough. As he sent the message, Evans felt a mix of emotions. He was angry and hurt, but he was also relieved to have finally expressed his feelings. I hope you can understand where I'm coming from, Evans wrote. I'm not looking for revenge or punishment. I just want closure and healing. I want to be able to move on with my life and find happiness again. Now, Evans was left to wonder what would happen next. Would his cousin respond? And if so, what would she say? Would his family try to reach out to him again? And if so, what would they want from him? He didn't have the answers, but he knew that he would have to be strong and prepared for whatever came next. I'll just have to wait and see, Evans said to himself, taking a deep breath. I'll just have to be patient and see what happens next. Evans had been struggling to come to terms with his past, but he had finally started to make progress. He had responded to his cousin's message, telling her that he would never be able to forgive her for the damage she had done to him and his relationships. He had also responded to his parents, and they had had a long and difficult conversation over the phone. I don't know how you could have believed her over me, Evans said, his voice shaking with emotion. I was your son, and you just threw me away like I was nothing. We were wrong, Evans, his mother replied, tears in her voice. We were so wrong to doubt you. We should have listened to you, and we should have supported you. Why didn't you? Evans asked, his anger and hurt still simmering just below the surface. Why did you just cut me off like that? We were scared, Evans, his father said. We didn't know what to do. We thought we were doing the right thing, but we were wrong. We realize that now, and we're sorry. Evans didn't know if he could ever fully forgive his parents, but he was willing to try. He agreed to stay in touch with them, and they started to rebuild their relationship. It wasn't easy, but they were making progress. As for his cousin, Evans didn't want anything to do with her. He had told her to leave him alone, and he meant it. He didn't want to hear her excuses or her apologies. He just wanted to move on with his life. But despite the difficulties he had faced, Evans was starting to feel like himself again. He had started dating, and he had met a great girl who was kind and understanding. He was taking things slow, but he was hopeful that this could be the start of something special. Hey, I'm really glad I met you, Evans said to his girlfriend, smiling at her. You're really helping me to heal and move on. I'm glad I could help, she replied, smiling back at him. You deserve to be happy, Evans. You've been through so much, but you're strong and resilient. I know you'll get through this. Evans felt a sense of peace wash over him. He knew that he still had a long way to go, but he was hopeful for the future. He was finally starting to feel like himself again, and he was grateful for that. As he looked back on the past 10 years, Evans realized that he had been given a second chance. He had been through hell, but he had come out the other side. He was scarred, but he was stronger because of it. Things do get better, Evans said to himself, smiling. It may take 10 years, but they do get better. Just hold on and don't give up.